Welcome to another episode of Hard Factor, presented by the Barstool News Network. It is Monday, May 11th, 2020, and Pat's off today, so it must be a Monday. But he joins us in the second half for an interview we taped on Friday with Kassy Dillon from Lone Conservative, while Wes was joyriding a Spider motorcycle in the hill country of Texas. Is that right, Wes? What were you doing on Friday?
I absolutely was. That's exactly what I was doing. I was joyriding.
How was that Spider?
It was awesome, man. It was a lot of fun. It's very different than a motorcycle, but yeah, lots of fun.
So what you're saying, Will, is that you and I are steady as can be.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're on both portions of the podcast today, so Mark and I will be with you all day. I also enjoyed my first beer at a restaurant over the weekend since lockdown started.
Yeah, so, you look like you're having a good time yesterday.
Oh, buddy.
You were texting some things.
That's right. I was. Yeah, feeling good. I'm very back.
Nice.
We got a hell of an interview with Kassy Dillon, like I said, lined up in the second half of this show. But let's kick it off first with the top 6 news stories of the day. We got a bunch of shit. All the top ones. We're going to start it with ObamaGate. So first up, of course, we're going to start this week by taking it to the internet immediately. We go to @RealDonaldTrump on Twitter, who had a hell of a time celebrating the DOJ dropping the case against General Michael Flynn. Remember, we talked about that last week.
That's right.
And then the DOJ actually dropped the case against Flynn on Thursday. And then on Sunday, Trump was on Twitter just having a ball, calling it the biggest political crime in American history by far. Referring to Obama admin focusing on the Trump campaign on their way out. So, and then he tweeted later after saying it was the biggest crime by far. He just said, "ObamaGate," all caps, exclamation point. So,
that gets him riled up over there.
Yeah.
Bigger than Watergate, bigger than Cigargate, bigger than
he's saying
gate?
it's the biggest gate, the biggest gate that they make. Okay. That's ObamaGate is what he's saying. He also tweeted other things about Big J's, who got the Flynn-Mueller investigation all wrong but still got Pulitzer Prizes somehow. And basically, he's trying to make a grand spectacle out of the proof that he's finding out that the Obama-era staff in the intelligence community were spying on him and his campaign on their way out. And that's the Encounter investigation, like we said, is being run by John Durham and his boss, Attorney General Bill Barr, who, because of this, is now public enemy number 1 for the Democratic Party, basically.
Bill Barr is all the way in on this. He's riding this one out.
Yeah, it's getting pretty serious for old Billy Barr. He's not backing down either. He's coming after it. After all, something to remember here: presidents do technically control the DOJ and things like the FBI, CIA, and NSA, which are actual spy agencies. So we'll see how much more we find out from here. I mean, I'm sure people on all sides are going to take this in stride, like the geniuses in response to the actual ObamaGate tweet from @RealDonaldTrump. We have @RealDefender. He says, Obama and his administration needs to be investigated. The time has come. #ObamaGate. Thank you, @RealDefender. It's actually, this came out because of an investigation into Obama that's actively occurring.
That's right.
So your wishes are already being, fulfilled.
I think much like Trump in the Mueller investigation where, they didn't find anything. I don't think that Obama's going to get arrested, but I do think Comey's probably having a very stressful quarantine because I think Comey's probably going to go down, is my guess.
Right. Well, just like the Manaforts of the world were on the fucking hot seat back in the Mueller days, there's other people on the D side that are going to be in the hot seat now.
For sure.
And then @ToRealDefender, we have @GlamElegance. She replies, Donald Trump and his administration need to be investigated. The time has come. 80,000 Americans live lost. Trumpgate. So she is blaming
everyone's investigated.
Oh, well, she's blaming the entire coronavirus on Trump.
Oh, the whole virus. Okay.
That's just another excellent take from the Twitter sphere.
Yeah.
So
Capitol Hill's just one big investigation.
All they're doing is investigating.
Yeah, that's all it is.
We're going to investigate everybody.
Yeah, then it's an investigation of the investigation, and then that investigation was itself corrupt, so you investigate the investigation of the investigation.
Exactly, and I've ran too long with this investigation story, so Wes, move us on, please.
All right, got a little international update for you guys. First off, total cases of the virus worldwide, 4,179,720. Deaths, 283,846. Here in the U.S., 1,367,638, almost 81,000 deaths, so still just terrible. And, just virus is just going strong. Other countries are just starting to now peak. Hopefully we're over that. Who knows? And as pressure to reopen all over the globe mounts, Boris Johnson is speeding up the reopening of the UK, saying, quote, "We now need to stress that anyone who can't work from home, for instance, those in the construction or manufacturing industries, should be actively encouraged to go to work." So he's feeling the economic pressure from people over there now, and it's time to reopen.
Bro Joe needs to get it running. Yeah,
That's
everybody
right.
wants to spend a few dollars. I don't know if you saw the picture of the beer that I drank on Saturday night at a real restaurant while watching UFC, but that was worth the money.
That looked good.
Yeah.
I think the U.S. is different though with their big businesses. They're pushing for remote. Like my brother-in-law's big company, which I won't mention, they're not going back to work till September at the earliest. And then like Google and Yahoo and some people are Google and maybe some other companies said like 2020 they're going to have everyone remote.
Well,
until
sure.
2020.
If you can be remote, it's
Right.
you gotta switch
Right.
to remote right now. You got to be flexible as a company. But if you need to get your people back to work, you need to get them back.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's not for small businesses or
Or what Boris is talking, like construction, manufacturing.
Right.
You got to be in the factories and
sure.
be on the job sites. So people are now allowed to sunbathe and exercise all they want in the UK. Other key measures, according to CNN, they want people to avoid public transport when possible. Quarantining people entering the country by air would come into place soon over there. And then they're introducing a new like alert system, like the terror system. So for I guess the virus. So you'll code red, don't stay inside today. The virus is high, kind of shit.
Really?
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
How can you have a virus forecast? I guess like.
I don't
know if it's windy.
A lot of coughing going on today, boys.
Yeah. It's windy and a lot of people are coughing, so stay inside.
Well, I saw my upstairs neighbor. He didn't wear a mask today.
A lot of heavy breathers out there today. Code red.
It's hot, yeah. The advice and slogan "Stay at home to save lives" is now "Stay alert." So they're easing up. Primary schools could open as early as June 1st, and then more shops and hospitality will open and start to reopen in July. Moving to Brazil, where cases have spiked to over 162,000 and over 11,000 deaths. Remember, President Jair Bolsonaro called this the little flu back in March. Last Tuesday, he said that speaking to the Supreme Court there, that the worst had passed, and then 20,000 more cases occurred between then and Friday. So more now, of course, and the most cases in a single day happened last Thursday. So the worst is not behind them there. And Bolsonaro also said to the Supreme Court, quote, "The issue of unemployment, the issue of the economy no longer working, we can't let the side effect of the fight against the virus be more harmful than the disease itself," which is a theme that is just, all over the world. People are,
Right.
That's the question, right? That's the question. So
Bolsonaro said, "I would be real worried if I was Macron's old ass wife, though."
Yeah. That's very true. So yeah, he's kind of in denial down there, and it seems like they are not. It seems like the worst is yet to come for them for sure. So hopefully not, but yeah, he needs
It doesn't
to.
appear that heat is really the thing that.
Not great. Not great with the heat. Not great. I mean, we could have told you that, though. It's been 100 degrees in Austin. Okay, guys, I have a crazy story for you. To be honest, you're probably not going to believe it because it sounds fake, but allegedly it happened. An armed mob led by a sheriff's deputy in North Carolina stormed the house of a family that the mob thought had something to do with a possible abduction or foul play of a missing 16-year-old girl. The father of the missing girl was also a part of the angry mob. Did you follow all that? I packed a lot in there, so it's Monday. I apologize.
Girl and an angry mob trying to get her back rolled up on a house.
Had a hot tip, so they rolled
Posse.
up
It's like a
an
posse.
armed posse. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ben David, the New Hanover County District Attorney, said that Jordan Kidda, he's the sheriff deputy that led the mob, led an armed group to the home of Damian Shepard, a senior in high school near Wilmington, North Carolina. And Kidda was looking for, as the mob was, including the father, Lakeda Kempesty, who was like a 16-year-old girl, 15 or 16, who had been reported missing earlier in the day. She was later found safe completely elsewhere just after the mob terrorized Shepard's home. But at the point they didn't find her.
Her name is so close to cicada chemistry.
It's not far off. That's scary. Cicada chemistry is scary stuff. The mob had a hot tip that someone named Josiah had a thing for Lakeda, so that's who they were looking for. thing is Josiah used to live next door to the Shepherds, but he didn't even live there at the time. And so they had the wrong house, and the kid didn't even live there anymore. So these idiots were just way off base. To make matters worse, it was also apparently an all-white mob trying to break into a black family home. So the optics are not great there. They were looking for this girl, but I wonder if they had like tiki torches to make matters worse. There's like footage of them like all with like tiki torches, you know? That would be bad.
God.
They were like Gaston and company storming the Beast Castle. Not great.
It's a scary sight for a black family to be.
Absolutely.
They had absolutely terrified. What I mean, like, well, how did it resolve? Did it escalate?
Shepard, the teenager that did live in the home, the wrong home the angry mob was terrorizing, was just playing video games, and he tried to tell the mob that when he answered the door. He's like, I don't know any Josiah. He doesn't live here. I'm just playing video games. And the mob, the sheriff was like, I don't fucking believe you. And he shoved his foot in the door and wouldn't let him close the door. And then they all started, the mob of 20 people, like half of which were armed, just started screaming at him like, we know you got a girl in there, Josiah. Like,
oh my God.
So then,
no way.
Yeah. Jesus. Then Shepard's mom had to come down, and she immediately was like, 20 armed white people, this is not good. So she tried to get in between her son and the mob, and eventually it was a scary situation, but the mob realized they were in the wrong home and they left disgruntled. Luckily,
it sounds like she just took control of the situation and was like, not on my watch.
Right. He doesn't have a fucking teenage girl in here, okay?
Right.
Luckily, no one was hurt, and the sheriff's deputy has been fired and now faces criminal charges of trespassing, breaking and entering, and willful failure to discharge duty.
I was really concerned when you said that a cop was leading an angry mob to a house. Like that.
Not good, right?
Yeah.
So please, guys, don't posse up. I know everyone's wound a little tight these days, but just don't roll up to people's houses with an armed group. That's how people get killed. Like, maybe...
Yeah. You need search warrants.
They have like the fucking find my iPhone thing, you know? Like she was like not even near this fucking house. Whatever.
Right. Ugh. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Get a search warrant.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, well, let's move it on to a little bit of a lighter subject. Over in Elon's world. And so this is, of course, about Elon Musk, one of the fun guys to watch here on Hard Factor, one of our favorite subjects. Elon wants to open Tesla, the factory in Fremont, California, back up. They're the only major car maker in California, and he wants the factory running, but the state and county government say, no, the lockdown continues. You can't open your factory back up. So over the weekend, he sued Alameda County, California, and tweeted, frankly, this is the final straw. I guess I should have an Elon Musk voice, huh?
Yeah, but he's got a weird cadence. He says like frankly, 3 words a minute.
Frankly.
I don't even know. I'll have to work on it and then come get. Frankly, this is the final straw. Tesla will now move its HQ and future programs to Texas/Nevada immediately. So I don't know if that's you guys know that's our states that we live in.
Oh, yeah. Are they coming to Austin? Because that would suck if they were.
They're definitely coming to Austin. Are you kidding me?
There's already Boca Chica is their main facility in Texas, which is by South Padre Island.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. Stay there.
Yeah. But Reno, Nevada is his main location in Nevada. So then, that he's basically just like all on Twitter. He's like, I'm really sick of California. But then local state rep, Democrat Lorena S. Gonzalez, she tweeted, fuck Elon Musk, period.
I'm with her. Yeah.
To which Elon replied, message received, and then pinned that to his profile. So I'm definitely about to listen to his second go around with the Joe Rogan podcast because he's about to be the reason flights from Reno to Texas start to get way better moving forward.
Fuck him and his weird ass family. I don't want them moving to town.
Well, we are, Mark. Bad news for you. We're quite literally now living in Elon's world in our 2 states. So he just wrangled some more power within our home states that we're living in. Anyways, really sad for California, though, if he does follow through on this threat, because Tesla employs almost 40,000 Californians. That lady is a complete moron for saying fuck him in the position that she holds.
Yeah, and to a guy like that, he'll just do crazy shit just out of fucking spite, it seems. So
you think the guy the pedo guy and
he's not one to be fucked with.
He's got a short fuse.
Loose cannon for sure. So maybe don't in your position as an elected official in the state that he's suing,
billionaire.
Tell him to fuck himself when he's threatening to move 40,000 jobs out of your state. Probably not the best time. But Lorena wanted the click. She got 42,000 likes on that bad boy. So.
Yeah, I wish she'd pin some of the mean shit I've said to him. You know, he didn't pick. I go after him all the time on Twitter.
They don't. The hard factor mark doesn't move the needle for,
I guess
for
not.
Musk, apparently.
Yeah,
We'll get there. We'll get there. That's when we'll know we've made it.
Not yet. Once he cares.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right,
I
guys.
insulted his child, for Christ's sake. The name of the child. Yeah.
I heard that they had a dispute that they're pronouncing it different ways.
Oh,
Grimes
well, no,
and
it
Elon.
doesn't
really?
even matter. It's
Well-
not legal. It's not legal characters.
Well,
they can't
of course
name the
not.
baby
You
that.
can't put that on a birth certificate. What are you going to
It's
show
not
up?
on a birth-
What are you
they
going
can't
to
type it.
show up to like the DPS and be like, can you type in this weird character and numbers? Like, fuck
Nobody
you.
can type it, so
Yeah.
it's not allowed to be named that.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, well, good. All right, guys, moving on. Got a beach triple for you guys. First, let's get to the sad one. Let's get it out of the way. As a 26-year-old surfer named Ben Kelly was killed by a shark Saturday near the northern end of Monterey Bay, Santa Cruz County, I believe. The attack happened just 100 yards from shore, and the species of shark is not yet known. Probably a great white, seeing as how one photographer said he counted 15 in the area on his boat the same day. So probably should have closed the beach sooner. The beaches were closed to sunbathers and tourists, but open to swimmers and surfers at the time. So, you know, I guess the sharks just moved in.
Well, like every other animal, like the whales are
Right.
moving in. All the animals are moving in because there's no boats out there. There's no people out there. So like they're like, oh, I guess I'll go closer. So
everything's free
sharks
game.
are no different. Yeah.
Yeah, not good. So they closed the beaches within a mile both ways. I mean, once a shark attack like that happens once at a beach, I'm never going in it again.
Close that beach.
Yeah. Moving on, according to officials in Padre Island seashore, Texas blue dragons are washing up ashore. And no, everyone there is not on acid. These are actual blue dragons. But while they are blue in color, these creatures are only about an inch long. They kind of look like a giant gummy bear creature or exotic fishing lure, if you look at them.
Yeah.
And they feed on one of the deadlier sea creatures out there, the man-o-war, which looks like a jellyfish. It's not actually a jellyfish, but it can kill humans in rare cases if it stings them. And the blue dragons are able to, when they eat them, they are able to store the stinging cells inside them for later use, like some like
only
Marvel
1 inch
villain.
big, but it still kills the big man-o-war.
Yeah, the
It eats
man-o-wars
them-
are huge.
It eats them. It's like a attack in numbers. It's not like the because the man-o-wars are humongous.
for these things.
Blue dragon
yeah.
sounds pretty intense.
Little nippy guys. Yeah. So they steal their powers from them. So do not pick them up if you see them. Hey guys, if all this fucked up beach news has you scared, don't worry. You probably won't be able to go to get a spot at the beach this year anyway. If your beach is anything like a Spanish beach in the town of Canet d'en Berenguer, a Mediterranean town. I definitely butchered that. Located just north of Valencia. They're allowing half the number of people to visit its beaches this summer, requiring you to reserve a spot on their new app. They will be, So they will be placing down like a grid to keep beachgoers properly socially distanced. Probably not a bad idea, but I mean, it's pretty windy on beaches.
The day you go to the beach, though, you're about to fucking throw down.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
When you get a spot, it's going down.
Everyone's,
it's like a cabana
everyone's
every
getting
time.
pregnant.
Yeah. Right. It's bottle service. It's like renting the cabana every single time you go to the beach now.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it's worth a shot, I guess. And that might happen at some of the other more.
Oh my god! I gotta get
high-end
to
beaches.
a beach.
I mean, that sounds actually kind of cool. Like, you get your own spot. Of course, the bad part is you're going to get in trouble, like, if you go talk to other beachgoers, potentially.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
be a pain in
am
the dick.
chomping at the bit to get to a beach in one.
Oh, yeah.
June or July, it's going down. All right, guys, we are truly living in a Zoom world now, and I have a double Zoom debacle for you. It's new, so people are still getting caught up in stuff like the dicks and the racism with the Zoom bombers. Right? We already talked about those things, but I got two new stories for you. First up, a man in Nigeria was sentenced to death via Zoom. A judge in Lagos read the ruling to Olakin Hamid as death by hanging. Olakin Hamid was remoting in
By beheading?
hanging. Hamid was
by
remoting.
hanging him.
Hamid was remoting into the Zoom from prison, and he got some bad news. He was found guilty of murdering his mother's employer in 2018. So yeah, I mean pretty bad Zoom experience for that guy. Could you imagine?
Yeah. I once got some fines and like a sentence leveled down to me through a video thing by a judge one time.
How about death?
But not death. Not death.
So, I mean, could you imagine if, like, the Zoom cut out when the judge is reading the sentencing? And he's like,
did he say death?
Yeah, he's like, oh, Judge,
he didn't say death, did he?
You cut out, but as long as you didn't say death by hanging, we're good over here.
Yeah.
Right.
You did say death by hanging. Well, fuck, I hate Zoom, you know? Like,
that's
rough.
tough.
That's tough.
Really impersonal.
Second up, a Spanish news anchor, Alfonso Merlos, was accused of cheating on Marta Lopez, his smoking hot TV star girlfriend. She was on like Big Brother over there. And the accusations started piling in of him cheating after fans saw a half-naked woman walk by on his Zoom feed that wasn't Marta Lopez while he was filming a live segment.
Yeah, she's like carrying a tray of condoms in the background.
Yeah, she wasn't there to clean the house or anything like that. She was there to clean his knob. Merlos was hosting the Estado de Alarma channel news report from his home, and some sexy half-naked chick with a drink tray just saunters on by while he's doing his thing.
That and also really kills your vibe of your show. That's the state of alarm, and you're supposed to be like making sure people are taking shit seriously. You've got
a hot mistress in the background.
Yeah, that is really not the state of alarm, right? That is the opposite of the state of alarm.
He's not alarmed. Merlos claimed he and Lopez were already broken up before he filmed the segment where his new bed buddy walked by, but Lopez herself said, no, that's not true. They were still together at that time. Obviously, they're not anymore.
Not 1 minute later.
And she said,
right.
She said it was very shameful of him to do that to her. Turns out Merlos craps where he eats, as the naked chick was a journalist, Alexia Rivas, who I guess works with them or something, or is at least in the same industry. Rivas said she has been dating the newsman for several weeks now. So Merlos has had quite the quarantine. He looked happy. He looked awfully happy in the Zoom session. He was smiling in the still shots I saw. He was doing the state of alarm or whatever, but he himself was smiling ear to ear.
As a cucumber.
Yeah.
She's walking out to the veranda half naked. He's doing okay.
With like cocktails.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that infuriate you if you were watching his show?
Yeah, for sure.
You're like in your shitty apartment, locked down or whatever, and you see this guy.
He's
the
like
state of alarm.
He's
guy.
like reading off deaths. Like either way, not a good idea to have your mistress walking around on your Zoom feed half naked, or anyone really, because that shit's in the cloud now. And that Zoom session was brought to you. That Zoom section was brought to you by our sponsor, Predict It. You can gamble on the news, and why the hell wouldn't you? And you can get a free 20 to do so if you go to www.predictit.org/promo/hardfactor20. There's no promo code. That URL is the promo code. Create an account, and in minutes, it just takes a couple minutes, and then deposit at least $20, and they match you with the free 20. It's completely legal and completely awesome in all 50 states. I want to talk about which state will have the smallest margin of victory in the 2020 election based on percentage of popular vote.
Whoa.
That's a cool one.
Smallest margin of victory.
By popular vote percentage, not like, it has nothing to do with the Electoral College. It's the popular vote percentage. I like Florida in that it is currently the front runner at 14 cents, yes, but that's like plus 700. You get 7 times your money back. There are some other good states in there, obviously. If the front runner's in 14 cents, there's a lot of good choices like Wisconsin.
Who else is up there? Like, is Pennsylvania up there?
Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Georgia's at 10 cents, which to me is crazy because that's going to go way Republican. That's not gonna be close. Yeah, Georgia at 10 cents.
No on that. That's a free 10 cents.
Georgia at 10 cents is ridiculous. But Florida last election, 2016, was like second or third closest state. It was like 1.2 percentage points away. It's always very close. They like Trump there. They also like Aviator Joe there. It's going to be close. So at plus 700 odds, I would take. I'm going to put a little bit on Florida there. There's also
that.
Yeah, that's a cool market. There's also a ton of new markets out there in general, guys, as even though coronavirus is a thing, we are having an election this year and fairly soon. So get in on this now at www.predictit.org/promo/hardfactor20. Get that free $20 for depositing at least 20 and start making some easy money with us.
Easy money.
And now let's take it over to our interview with Kassy Dillon.
Welcome to Hard Factor, the founder of lone conservative and online political personality herself, Kassy Dillon. Thanks for coming on the show, Kassy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We've heard a lot about you. We're working with Patricia, somebody I know you've worked with in the past now, and she told us that you had a wild stay in Kurdistan. So We don't know
Who
exactly
doesn't, right?
what happened. Right. I mean, it sounds like it's an easy place to have a wild stay in, but we'd like to hear what happened there. What were you doing, and what's that about?
Yeah, so I'm known for traveling to very odd places where people don't usually go. Like, I usually go to conflict zones. Like, the first time I went to any other country was Israel, which a lot of people go to Israel, but I was in some tense areas. And then I went to Cyprus and crossed the UN border. There's some conflict there. I've been to Egypt, in the Sinai, where there's tanks rolling around. But, yeah, I decided to go to Iraqi Kurdistan my senior year of college.
You're not like a beach lady, I guess.
No, I'm more of like a political danger person, which is
I thought
really bad.
I thought Mark Ruffalo was going to look way different when we finally got to interview him. So,
Well, so actually today is the 2-year anniversary of me going to Kurdistan. I got the little Facebook notification of all my photos, so it's kind of funny we're talking about it today. But as a senior in college, I wrote a thesis about Kurdish-Israeli relations, and through doing that, I interviewed a bunch of people who are involved in Kurdistan. And one guy was like, hey, we're going there to go monitor the elections. Do you want to come? So not only did I go to Kurdistan, I went there during elections, which usually is very violent. There were street fights. There was like people shooting each other with AKs in the street.
just over like campaigns.
That's how you win the election. The last person to survive the shooting.
Yeah. Well, I kind of got used to the shooting after 5 days, which is kind of weird. It's kind of common in Arab culture, a lot of Middle Eastern cultures, and Kurdish culture. When you're celebrating, a lot of times they just whip out a gun and start shooting into the air.
So it's a celebration. It's not an argument?
What goes up doesn't come down. It's just, a way to celebrate.
I learned that in the movie True Lies. When they got the nuclear warhead, they all fire into the air, and I was like, "Oh,
They do actually, yeah.
it's a cultural thing. I didn't know."
Well,
so
Some
what
people
were
bang pots and pans. Some people
yeah,
shoot off.
it's similar. What were you doing there? And I also heard that you maybe got behind an automatic weapon on the front lines.
Yeah, so I did. It was a crazy story. Okay, so I went to Kurdistan with Jake Turks. He is the White House correspondent for Ami magazine. I don't know if you guys remember, like one of Trump's first press conferences, a Jewish guy raised his hand and Trump was like, "Sit down and shut up," and it was like a huge controversy. And then Jake turned out to be kind of a Trump supporter. He's like a complete Orthodox Hasidic Jew.
I think I do remember that.
Yeah, and so he turned out to be a Trump supporter, but he works in the White House for Ami magazine, and he was on the trip along with a few other people. They were all Orthodox Jews too, or most of them, which kind of made me a little nervous because they weren't hiding that they were Jewish. And
right, because they were in Muslim territory, right?
Yeah, well, like the Kurds love Israel. First of all, like we tested that out. Some of the people in my group were passing around Israeli flags. The Kurds were waving them in the street. But I went there because we were filming a documentary. The documentary never really got made. That's a whole nother story, but we went there, we were supposed to film a documentary and watch the elections, and I was also trying to test my thesis, which was that the Kurds deserved independence. I don't really agree with that anymore. They want to kill each other, the two main political parties. It's like wild, wild west there. It's very complex.
There was AK injuries in campaigns. It sounds like it's a rough scene.
It's like imagine the Republicans and the Democrats each having their own militias and having checkpoints when you
We're
want to
almost
cross the
there. I
street.
mean, we're getting close. We're
Yeah.
getting close, but
It's
not
very
yet.
close. But when I first got there, I flew into Erbil, which is the capital of Kurdistan, and then I went to Sulaymaniyah, which is the capital of the other political party. And I went into my hotel, and to make things even crazier, I was the only girl on this trip. There was like 10 guys and just me, like the smallest, littlest
a bunch of
girl.
Orthodox Jews and Kurds.
Yeah, it was.
What a scene!
That's
It
pretty
was
intense.
a disaster. We had so much fun, but it was. I had adrenaline for 5 days
Sounds fun.
straight. But okay, so I get into my hotel room and all I hear is an explosion and then AK fire. And I hadn't slept. I was flying for like 3 days. I roll off the bed onto the ground and I'm like, oh my God, somebody told them where the Americans are. I'm going to die. And I was just freaking out. And so then I peeked out the window and it was literally fireworks and people just shooting AKs into the air. And that was
a party.
That was my first introduction into Kurdistan. But throughout the days, we went to some of the jails that Saddam Hussein had when he tortured Kurds. So I got to see like really horrific things. And then we did go to the front lines with ISIS and the Shia militias. So I was about less than a mile away from ISIS. They took us legit to just like the front outpost. And some of the Kurdish generals thought it would be funny to have me there. First of all, I was kind of worried, like being in the front lines with a bunch of soldiers and the only girl.
This'll rile ISIS up.
Yeah. Did you wear something revealing?
Look at this, no face covering. Yeah.
Well, I was dressed very, very conservative the first 4 days, and then we went to the front lines. I was just over it, so I just wore like skinny jeans and a V-neck, and I'm like, I'm
100%.
sick of wearing this.
No.
It was
That's
hot
how you
out.
fight the Islamic State, Cassie. That's how you fight
It's
the
true.
Islamic
I
State.
felt
It's
like
the most offensive thing.
I felt like they were using me as bait. They're like, "Oh, look, we have this Western white chick. Come on, ISIS," because they were waiting for
Sounds
ISIS
like
to
it.
come and attack them. Because at
You
this
want
time,
her? You can't have her. Come
They
get her.
they just start sprinting.
well, there
You'd
was
like
one,
this, wouldn't you?
Well, so okay,
Charging.
in 2017, the way ISIS operated was they had sleeper cells, so they weren't completely had very defined territory, but they had small little outposts. And a lot of the recently freed ones, the Kurds controlled, and we were driving through them, and we got stuck in a traffic jam. And I have a video on my phone of this. And all I feel is my security guard grab my head and push it down in the car, and he puts an AK on my head out the window. And I speak Arabic, so like I can kind of understand some of the stuff he's saying because he's yelling at them in Arabic because it was an Arab city, like Arab little town. And he's
Use
like
white
yelling.
girl as a base for the AK.
He was trying to like hide the fact that there was a white girl and like screaming at these people to get away from the car. To
Yeah,
the
he
point
didn't want him to see you.
we just drove
Yeah.
on the sidewalk and just drove because
Wow.
we were like in such a dangerous situation. So Kurdistan was
That's
crazy.
That's
And
crazy. So I mean, like, how do you feel now that things have changed? You said your thoughts about the independence there have changed. How do you feel about what happened with, us withdrawing in Syria and how that all played out?
I was not happy about that at all. I spent a lot of time with them, and they kept telling me how much they loved America. They were so hospitable. Like, I met with the highest sheikhs who have never met with American media at all. And
Wow.
you go into, first, there's very big hospitality in the Middle East in all countries. And you'd go into, like, their little office or their house, and they would first serve you, like, water in Jello cups, and then they come out with like tea and then coffee and then water and then tea and then coffee. So the entire time you're just bringing in all these liquids, and it's rude to reject it. So like, and then you had to like pee, and I don't know if you know what the toilets look like in the Middle East, but
Holes, right? Just
they're
in the
like
ground.
holes in the ground, especially like. Not my cup of tea. I would wait till we went back to the Western hotels, but
My mom would not be able to go there.
Yeah, not your Jello cup of water. You know what I mean? So what was the general consensus when Trump chose to pull the U.S. troops out of Syria? Like, I mean, you were there, you experienced it front hand, like, and you also rep through your website from the conservative point of view. Like, what was the conservative consensus when that happened? Do you feel like there was a lack of understanding?
There was a big mix from the conservative side. There was a lot of the so-called neocons who were really mad about it, and people are putting me into that camp. But my issue is not that I think we need to be fighting wars for the Kurds. My issue is we made a promise, and we should keep our promise. If you don't want to keep our promise, then don't make it. And so we shouldn't have pulled out as abruptly as we did, because now you're giving not only Syria more influence in the Middle East, you're giving Iran and Russia. Russia is now the #1 trading partner with the Kurds in Iraq. Not even the Kurds in Syria, who we already
because
lost.
Russia had to step in as the protector, right? Essentially.
Well, the protector in Syria, and now they're the economic trader in Kurdistan, where they're buying up all the oil. So right now we're seeing the Kurdish allies who have loved us for 30 to 40 years now aligning more with Russia and Iran, and that's
they're
dangerous.
They're the new dominant presence. I mean, it's like kind of like how nations like how China can move in on Africa and places like that. I mean,
This sounds like the reverse to the ending of Rocky IV. When Rocky won over the Russians, this
Yes.
is
Right.
the opposite.
yeah.
Oh, and
Right.
a side note about China, by the way, like I said, I was with a bunch of guys. And the Jewish guys weren't part of this, but a bunch of the other Christian American guys found a strip club in Kurdistan run by the Chinese. It was just a bunch
Yep.
of Chinese strippers.
That makes sense, honestly.
What makes you...
What?
What Chinese woman is going to willingly go be a stripper in Iraq? Like, this is human trafficking, clearly.
But that's China's style. Also, like they set up like they have a lot of their foreign policy campaign is huge, and they set up in developing nations especially. They set up basically their own little cities where they can start to sort of Chineseify the country.
Oh,
Yeah, and
yeah.
the best way
Well-
to do that is to bring them in through the strip club.
Well, you need your own strip club. How are you going to get people to work there without
Right.
the strip club? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to.
Longtime listeners may know that I went to Tahiti, right? And the Chinese bought everything in the markets, and they control everything in French Polynesia.
It's a new
they're the
form
best-
of
yeah.
colonialism.
Right, because
Yeah.
they're going to call in the debts eventually to all these. All
They
the
run
things they've
every
been loaning
business
out.
there.
They're running Africa right now.
Oh yeah,
They're taking
They
all
really-
the natural resources.
they really
got the
bobbed.
hooks in big. But let's move away from foreign policy. Let's go to something more fun, Pat. You got
Yeah,
something, right?
So, Cassie, I read your article for the Daily Wire. I dated a Democrat. I probably never will again. I think that's short-sighted. There's lots of great Dems out there. But tell us about why you chose to write that and what your dating experience was like with this. He sounds really handsome, Democrat man.
He is a handsome guy, and we're still friends. I wrote that article because it was around Valentine's Day, and I just wanted to write something more fun. I was writing a lot of foreign policy, and I wanted to write something more, just more fun and lively. And Fox News had me come on and talk about it, which is like, I always go on Fox News for the weirdest things. Like, that was one, and then I tweeted I wouldn't be Trump's friend, and he tweeted back at me and was like, I'm okay with that, and they had me on for that. So, like, the weirdest things they had me on for. It's so weird. But I wrote that article mainly because I was just kind of reflecting on Tom, as I named him in the article. It's not his name. And just about...
What's his name?
I can't tell you. I don't want to ruin his...
I thought I'd try.
Not Tom, though. So that leaves how many options?
We're whittling it down. By the end of this interview, we're going to get it. Yeah.
So the article was mainly talking about how I think when you marry someone, you should share similar values. And that's not to say like a Republican and a Democrat can't have similar values. It's just like I'm so involved in politics that I'm very fundamental in my beliefs. And the pro-life issue is something that definitely split us away from each other. And then some other issues. But we did find common ground. Like, we were both very involved in the pro-Israel movement. His economic policies are not in line with me, but we're still friends. We had a good time. And in that article, I talk about how we went on a road trip with another couple who actually just got married. And
that's the make or break. That's when you go on a road trip, you learn some. It's like it's not as bad as a camping trip where nothing good happens between.
We
a
were
couple,
camping and road tripping.
Oh, that's the worst. No showers, no bathrooms.
You
tight
learn a lot
quarters.
about somebody when you camp with them.
Oh.
Yeah. But when you see like another couple getting along and having all these like fundamental beliefs, and we're fighting, we've only been together for like 3 or 4 months. I was just like, I need somebody who agrees with me with more things. And now my current boyfriend, he agrees with me on almost everything besides Trump. He's a never Trumper, and it's kind of boring. We don't get to debate as much, but it's still nice.
So yeah, I mean, like you have your Kellyanne Conways and George Conways. You don't think that like it could work?
I don't know why them two are like. I don't want to like insult them, but how do they get along? Like he publicly attacks her boss, and like I don't know how they. I don't know what their household looks like.
They almost attack each other sometimes.
Yeah.
They like subtweet each other. They don't.
He's what started Siraj's list. We just had him on, and it's George Conway having a public spat with his wife on Twitter about her policies and stuff. It's like
it is obnoxious. Yeah.
It's a little weird.
You know, if I could amend that article, I would add, and he doesn't have social media. It's really nice having someone who doesn't do the same thing as I do.
Oh, that's
nice.
Right, yeah. So, well, on that note, I mean, I think you're being short-sighted, and I'm gonna run down a list of 5 Democrats, and I want you to really think about each one of these to see if you might change your policy. And I know you're in a relationship now, but you're young; that could change.
Hypothetical.
Also, if one of these guys came through, you never know. Okay, I'm going to start it off.
Mr. Cassie, this is not an affront on you. This is just...
Yeah, hey man, but no,
this
like you do need to work hard, bro, because it's about there is always someone coming for your spot.
These guys are out here. These
are some heavy hitters. Who we got?
They're out here. All right, so we're gonna start with what if I don't know, what if the star of the 1997 blockbuster hit Titanic, Leonardo DiCaprio, came around and was like, hey Cassie, sup? You want to ride around my private jet that I'm offsetting with carbon credits?
But not really.
If it was like 1997 Leonardo, I'd think about it. But like current Leonardo, the one who's like kind of being a little crazy politically and not really doing much, kind of pompous. Nah, not him. But 1997.
He's also out of shape now.
Yeah. What about not as hot?
Yeah.
All right. I think the best Leonardo to date would be Beach Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah, back when he was young and just like totally fit. Yeah.
What a Leo he was. Not eating Gilbert Grape Leo. That's a different. All right. Okay. All right. Canadian-born former Mouseketeer and the star of perhaps the most important romantic film of all time, The Notebook, Ryan Gosling. What if Gosling rolled around and was like, check this body out. It's skinny, but it's ripped.
I was Team Lon. She should have went with Lon. He was so much better than Noah.
Oh, shit. You didn't even like him in The Notebook.
Damn. Well, then he's out. If you didn't even want him to win in The Notebook,
no,
he's out.
I didn't. I wanted Lon. Lon was so much nicer. He didn't have a temper. He was better looking. He was an officer in the military. Much better.
Listen,
that's
whatever.
That's a strikeout, Pat.
Whatever. Okay, fine.
You got rather strong.
All right, this
ones
is a little bit left fieldy, but I don't know what you're into. I'm into some of this stuff. What about WWE superstar Dave Bautista? What if he was coming from the top rope?
here.
At
Also
you?
an actor now.
Well, I used to watch him when I was like 9 years old, so it's a little creepy. I don't know about
Batista
The
bomb.
Batista bomb. He did the thumbs down.
Okay, all right. Well, let's update it a little bit. Let's update about. What about current heartthrob Chris Evans? What if he came around and was like, "What's up, girl? Why don't I take you to dinner?"
Captain America.
Another Marvel guy.
Wait,
Captain America. Think about that.
I hate superhero movies.
No.
I hate them,
But
all of them.
Captain America. You heard the title?
Is
USA.
it bad that I don't even know what he looks like? Because
He's a
hate
soldier.
superhero
He's a-
movies?
He was also the star of Not Another Teen Movie, right? That was a good one. Janie's got a gun.
Movie star. He's a
And
big
then
movie star.
He's saying Janie's got a gun, and then everyone ran from the auditorium because they thought Janie had a gun.
I'll have to look into him. I don't know much
All
about
right.
this guy.
Last one.
You might like once you see him, you might like him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really take a look because I want you to keep an open mind here. I don't want you to limit yourself in your life. All right, Okay, now last one. Musical superstar, wheelchair Jimmy from Degrassi High, Drake.
No, not my type. No.
Okay. What
He's
about
too vulgar
Brad
in his
Drake?
language.
What about Brad Drake, the Florida House of Representatives Republican? What about him?
No, not into it.
Okay. All right, that's
What
fine.
does he look like?
Even
I
as
want
a
you to think-
Republican.
I want you to think about this tonight, Cassie.
You have to sharpen that list, Pat.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Well,
I know.
it was worth a shot. You just turned down a lot of hot dudes. A lot of hot dudes.
We can assign the left to people. Like, what about all of the Jonas Brothers? I don't know what their affiliation is, but
Jonas Brother, that's
there you go.
Nick.
And you know they
Yeah.
would get into polygamy.
Well,
All
Sansa
right,
got him, so.
We're gonna move on from the dating. Let's talk. I think this might be the last topic. Let's talk about San Francisco. Little Birdie told us that you've done some research on San Francisco. Kind of talked about all the poop that's in the streets and such. Although maybe there's a little bit less now because of the wet housing in hotels. I don't know if you've heard about this, but we covered this recently. Basically, the city of San Francisco is providing nicotine, weed, booze, methadone, and housing in hotels for the homeless. What do you think about that?
So I did that video about a year ago, only about a year into living into LA or less. And I've been questioning recently, why didn't I make this video in Los Angeles? It's so bad here too. And the governor said that he was going to house all the homeless people during coronavirus, and it's not happening. There are more homeless people in my neighborhood right now than there were 4 months ago. So
What neighborhood are you in LA?
I'm in the Valley, so like Sherman
Okay.
Oaks area.
Yeah.
So it's not great down here right now. And when it comes to San Francisco, that was a very interesting video. I think that people there, a lot of people who are in San Francisco aren't from San Francisco. So a lot of these people are coming from
mostly
other
transient
cities. Some of them told us that they were being bussed into San Francisco from other cities to get the benefits.
Wait, what? As in the homeless?
Yes. Some of them were completely saying this to us, that we were bussed here because they had better benefits here. I don't know how credible they are. A lot of them were all doped up. Somebody actually...
As in like the advocate groups? Because they have tons in San Francisco. They would go out to go bring them in from other places?
Yes.
Well, that's what they were saying, that it's not taxpayer dollars covering the hotel stays, right? That's what we had read.
Well, it could be
It's-
advocate groups in other cities wanting them
Right.
out of their cities.
It's
Wow.
not taxpayer dollars, but eventually someone pays for it, right? Like you have, like, if they go to the hospitals, where are they getting the money from? Like, eventually there is money going into it, so it's not technically taxpayer dollars. But let's talk about that. Like, that's part of this argument. Do you just leave it at that it's not taxpayer dollars on the surface, or do you kind of look a little bit more into it?
I mean, I really don't know, like, the complete how the people got there, but I do know that the things that they're doing for them right now to try to make them not be homeless is not working. So they pay them to go clean the streets, and they can go take the food, or the money that they get, it's like stipends, so they can go to, like, CVS and buy some food. It's not like handing them cash. So that's feeding them, but that's not helping them not be homeless. And another thing they're doing is they're bringing people from the jails and bringing portable bathrooms. We actually met a guy who was doing that. And I had a weird encounter with him where I was talking to him and interviewing him, and then he turned his neck and all I see is an SS tattoo. And I was just like, and he looked at me because he saw me, like, I was like,
It's intense.
I like stopped for a second.
Tough to get a job with that tattoo.
Yeah, and then he looked at me and he was like, what? And I was like, nothing, thank you for the interview, bye.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So, like, San Francisco's a little rough. We had a homeless person try to attack us, but we had police officers with us who were, like, off duty, but They're kind of like our security guards.
So with the guy with the SS tattoo, he was on jail release bringing in bathrooms for the homeless to use?
Yeah, so he brings in like a trailer and then he like supervises it and makes sure they're not shooting up in the bathrooms.
So that's great, actually. I mean, if anyone should be handling, human excrement and the business around it, it's a neo-Nazi, in my opinion. Like, I think that's perfect. Let that guy have that job.
Yeah.
He can have that job.
But what do you do? Like, it seems like there's more homeless people. Do you do programs like this, like wet housing, or not?
One thing I thought was really interesting is that there's segregation among the homeless. So, like, one street would be a bunch of black homeless people, and another street would be a bunch of white homeless people, and the drugs they're doing are differently, and the way they're treated are differently. And I don't know, the black homeless people were very kind to us. They were, like, telling us exactly what's going on and what needs to change. The white homeless people were very, very confrontational. They're the ones that tried to attack us before our security guard jumped in. So there's, like, a lot of weird nuances to what's going on in San Francisco, but nothing's really being fixed. Like, we went to a playground, and there's needles there at a playground.
So they just essentially have such great benefits for homeless that they just continually collect more and more, bigger and bigger population in all the major cities in California.
Yeah, well, I asked the homeless people, like, why don't you go live in the shelters? Why are you living on the sidewalk? And in San Francisco, they don't allow tents. In LA, we have tents everywhere. They don't have that in San Francisco. They're not allowed to. And if they do, then they usually get them confiscated. But they're telling us they didn't go to the shelters because if they go to the shelters, they have to get clean. And so they don't want to do that, which is, I'm assuming, why San Francisco is now putting them up and letting them do whatever they want, because otherwise they're not going to go in.
Not in these hotels. You don't have to get clean. They bring the party to you. The weed.
Well, hold on,
the
but
booze,
that's the point. That's the point. Methadone makes total sense because it's like, if you're addicted to heroin, you can be functional on methadone. It's not great, but you're on the worst drug period. So like, get off the street, stay on the methadone. The weed, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Booze,
You can
maybe.
buy it over the counter now.
It sounds like my house tonight.
That's like having cigarette withdrawals.
Yeah.
Like,
San Francisco's a weird place, okay? It's a whole nother universe there.
But generally, I think you're dead on that. Like, look, California has some of the worst homelessness, period, because it's got the most conducive weather to being homeless. Yeah. San Francisco is a major exception. It's one of the coldest places on the goddamn planet, in my opinion, especially when you're supposed to be in warm-ass California.
And forget about the fog. Good Lord.
Oh, the fog. It's microclimate. Fuck this shit. But I know people have been criticizing Gavin Newsom for his handling of it. I mean, I just wonder, is there a better model? I'm asking just generally, like, statewide, is there a state that effectively handled homelessness? Because I know that everyone's intentions are pure. They're trying to solve the problem. But you're right, saying, like, there's a disconnect right there with the shelters, right? Because they don't want to get clean. There has to be a different system.
Well, I think a lot of the politicians are treating their own neighborhoods differently than they are the rest of the neighborhoods in the city. So around Mayor Garcetti's house, there's no homeless people there. That's an area where they will remove them from that neighborhood. And then they just push them all into one neighborhood. And then you have a giant issue where people are getting typhoid. People are urinating and crapping in the streets. And you're just pushing them all into one neighborhood.
Remember the bucket? The bucket thing?
Yeah.
It's
Don't
terrible.
Bring that back up. That was 2019. Don't bring that back up.
No.
So I don't know why they're privileging themselves. Instead, you should be making these people get help. Like, I don't want to say, like, round them up and throw them in a prison, but when they're walking on the streets, and a lot of times, like, being very violent, swinging their arms, attacking people who walk by, like, I have to be careful walking my dog because homeless people have gotten in my face before. That's not safe. Like, it's not safe for them. So you walking around like that and not knowing what's going on because they're so drugged up. It's a public health issue.
Yeah. Austin, Texas has a lot of homeless people as well.
But the whole nation. We happen to live in some areas that have really big problems, but in general, across the U.S., it's something that's on the rise. It's only going to continue to rise, in the future as automation.
I mean, I'm jealous of them, to be honest. I think it's pretty cool that they get to just get hammered and party in a hotel. That's like been my dream since high school. Hotel parties. Like,
we've had a couple nights that got close to you living your dream, Mark.
Yeah.
But I always had to come back. Yeah, look, it's a systems failure. I mean, I'm interested to see what it's tough because the systems can't catch up with the reality. It's like you can't go back in time and say 30 years ago we should have put these different programs in place or systems in place that would have prevented these people from being homeless. I'm interested to see what's going to happen in Austin, Texas, because we're not a big city. It's not like LA or San Francisco or New York where people can get lost in the system. Austin's very different in that respect, but we're seeing a major increase in the tent cities here, and there's some cool things that they're doing, like providing tiny homes for them in a community, which is an interesting program down here. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's nuts.
But there's
a 90-year-old homeless guy, that lives under the tree around the corner from my house. That's outside the 7-Eleven.
Oh my gosh. But to come full circle here, in the Middle East, you don't, even though people are a lot more poorer than here, you don't see homelessness onto the level. And even when I went to the West Bank, like the first thing my tour guide said is you're not going to see a homeless person here because if somebody in your family is homeless, that's shameful to your family. That's dishonoring your family. You don't allow anyone in your family that shares your blood to be homeless. And so I think a lot of it comes with, we need to start looking at our own families. Like,
Culture,
communities, yeah.
I have said this publicly before, but when I was a kid, there was a short time where my family was homeless. We were living on a mattress with 6 people in my grandmother's 2-bedroom apartment for a while because we lost our house. And so, you know, my family took care of us and we tried to figure it out. We never had to go to a shelter, but some people have. And so I think we really need to start looking into our families. And even if it's that cousin who is a drug addict, you know, you can find programs for them and really just try to outreach
You have a basement.
them.
Put them in the basement.
That's a good point.
Yeah. You just got to take care of it.
You got a shed. You got something.
Good point. Yeah. All right. Well, do you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Oh, I wanted to add one more thing because you did ask me if I did shoot any firearms with the Kurds, and I did. I forgot to tell you, but I did. I shot an AK-47 with the Kurds at a gun range, and then we also shot an RPG. We had like multiple RPGs in our vehicles and multiple
What'd you
AKs.
fire it at?
So there was like a wet hill. I didn't shoot the RPG, okay? If I would have shot an RPG, I
But
would
you
probably
saw
be
it.
hurt.
That's pretty.
But
Okay.
I did
That's
see it.
still cool.
A general shot it, a Kurdish general. He was also wearing an Armani like suit, like full-on designer
flex.
suit.
What a flex!
That
He
is
just
awesome.
breaks out the RPG.
Did you get a video of that? The Armani suit guy shooting an RPG?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's awesome.
Oh, yeah,
can
we
you
got
send
it.
Can you send us that?
Yes.
That's amazing.
But he
That's
shot
the
it.
type of general I would be.
Well, the generals there, they go into battle with the soldiers. It's not like here where our general is like organized. They actually
They're
go
like
fight with them.
warlords in Armani suits. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
And he was, like,
you're not going to
easily
wear an
60.
Armani suit. Not
It's
to
the
go
final
into battle.
boss. If you want to beat the army, you got to get rid of the guy in the Armani suit at the end.
But to make it even cooler, he shot the RPG into a hill, and it was so wet out, it didn't explode. So then we threw a grenade to explode it. So it was like
that's awesome.
crazy. It was awesome.
Shoot it.
That's
Shoot at the
amazing.
RPG. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's amazing. Well, Cassie, thank you for coming on the show. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah,
They're all fucking crazy.
I agree.
Oh! Yeah, going up.
All right. Well, sorry I also missed that interview.
What an interview, though. Wes. Did you enjoy it? Did you
It was
enjoy
great. I liked how you guys asked her, you know, which guys she liked, and she had some crazy stories. You know, it was very very interesting. The Can-Am was fun. I gotta tell you, but
The editing job was fun. Fun on that one.
well, yeah, the edit. No, it was. I'm glad I got to listen to it. It was a really great interview.
That was a good interview. We'll have her back
yeah.
on for sure.
Absolutely.
Cassie definitely coming back on. Excellent guest. Thank you, Cassie.
Yeah, but that's going to do it for Hard Factor today. Hey, check out the episode 2 of the Barstool Comments of the Week show, hosted by your boys. And if you see a great comment in the blogs on barstoolsports.com, please DM us a screenshot of the comment and blog title.
Oh,
that would
yeah.
be greatly appreciated.
We're gonna. We need to blog more so that we can get roasted more in the comments, and we're gonna be trying to do that. But we are busy, so if you see some good comments out in the blog, hit us with the title and the comment, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, keep those 5-star reviews coming in. Voicemail number again 512-270-1480. If you want to send us a patch of any kind, anything at all, DM us and we will send you a PO box so we can proudly display it in our studio. Keep those What the Fuck Wednesday stories coming. Florida Man
but
Friday
before
stories
you move
too.
on, remember Wes will be screening every single item that comes.
I will. Anything with a black falcon or sharp, jagged lines in red, I'm gonna be looking.
What is that? A hawk?
Yeah, what is that? A hawk or does he have a helmet on? I don't know. So we'll DM us and we'll send you that PO box number. Also, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, Hard Factor, to watch our fat mouths say the words you hear every day. The boat race will drop this week. Thank you everyone who participated. Sorry I could not be there to chug milk with you this time. Heard it was a good time as usual. Who won, by the way?
Oh, Will's team. We got. Oh, I reached out to Ronnie Deutsch. I don't know if you've been watching Donnie.
Right.
Donnie
That's why you need to watch this when we put it out. Yeah.
He's been doing those million.
I have seen Ronnie. He's impressive.
The million Pijos with Peng Zai, and I've been.
Ronnie got put out.
I've been in a couple of his videos to check those out, but I reached out to Ronnie, and he was like, "Drinking, yes, I'm in," and he was so in, and he's by far the best drinker. Like, I think,
we got
in the world.
We like split it in half basically, and I was like, I'm gonna drop to the bottom, and he happened to be the first guy on the bottom.
Look, there's a lot of good chuggers that come out this thing. Jackson's real fast. Like a lot of the guys are fast.
It was fun. It was
Ronnie is very
tightly
fast.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, check it out. We will drop that this week. We promise this week for sure. Hey, everyone, really appreciate you listening. And as always, have yourself a great fucking day.
Oh, yeah!